Hello friends, I am Shivukumar Pradhani. I am from Supplementary and I have completed my degree in BEd college and I have completed my MSc in Karnataka University, Derived. So today we are dealing with the Unit 2, Units and Measurements. So before going to the direct chapter, let's start with the quotation. Education is not the preparation of the life. Education itself is a life. Okay. Education is not the preparation of the life. Education is itself a life. Okay. So in first unit we have discussed about the physical world. In physical world we have measured the conservation laws and physical quantities. So we have discussed that all things. Okay. So in second chapter, we are going to deal with the units and measurements of that physical quantities. So physical quantities means, what are the physical quantities? By hearing the name physical quantity, what comes in your mind? So the physical means bhautika. It should be existed physical. Because now see, we are taking the online classes. This is not a physical class. This is the online class. This is a virtual class. So when you come in the class and when you sit in the class, that is called the physical class. Okay. So the physical class means we have to be a direct. Okay. The physical quantities here we are dealing with physical quantities. So physical quantities means the quantities here it is. So physical quantities means the all quantities that can be measured are called physical quantities. It means the quantities, all the quantities that can be measured, all quantities that can be measured are called physical quantities. Okay. So what are the physical quantities? Means now direct measure physical quantities. So we have force measure time measure length measure speed measure ಮಾಡಬಹುದು. So there are lot of things. So etc. And let's do thinking capacity. Okay. So the physical quantities means all quantities that can be measured. Measure means ಅಳೆಯಲ್ಪಡುವ ಯಾವ ಅಳೆಯಲು ಬರ್ತಾವಲ್ಲ that can be measured are called physical quantities. Okay. So example for physical quantities: force, time, length, speed, etc. Okay. There are types of the physical quantities. So what are the types of physical quantities? One is fundamental quantities, derived quantities, supplementary quantities. So let's study one by one. Okay. Fundamental quantities. Fundamental quantities means, so see the definition. You may ask for the one more question. Okay. So what are the fundamental quantities? Physical quantities which are completely independent. So this is the key word. Physical quantities which are completely independent of each other. And all other physical quantities can be expressed in terms of these quantities are called fundamental quantities. Okay. So pay attention here. I will explain it. Physical quantities means the physical quantities which are measured directly. Physical quantities which are completely independent of each other. Because which are completely independent means one quantity should not depend on another quantity, or one quantity should not be derived from the other quantity. Okay. So the physical quantities which are completely independent of each other and all other physical quantities. All other physical quantities means it is derived quantities. Derived quantities, supplementary quantities. These are the other physical quantities. Okay. So all other physical quantities can be expressed in terms of these quantities. These quantities are called as fundamental quantities. Okay. Is it clear? So let's repeat once again. Physical quantities which are completely independent on each other, and what is next? Which are completely independent on each other, and all other physical quantities are expressed in terms of these quantities. Okay, is it clear? Then there are 7 types of fundamental quantities. So what are those? Because there is a distinction in terms of the fundamental quantities. So what is that distinction? All the physical quantities must be independent on each other. That means there are 7 independent quantities. So there are 7 fundamental independent quantities we are going to study. What are those? So length is an independent quantity. Then mass is an independent quantity, and time is an independent quantity. Electric current is also independent quantity. Okay. Then next, temperature and amount of substance and luminous intensity. These are the 7 fundamental quantities which are completely independent on each other, and the other physical quantities are expressed in terms of these quantities. Okay. So then the second type of physical quantities is derived quantities. So here is a name itself indicates that it is derived. Okay. Derived means it is came from the other units. Okay. We have derived it by taking the some conditions. Okay. Then next, what are those conditions? Physical quantities which can be expressed as combination of fundamental quantities are known as derived quantities. Or we can simply define in another way. Okay, physical quantities which can be derived from the fundamental quantities are known as derived quantities. Okay, derived quantities. What are the example of the derived quantities? Is speed. Speed and the what is the speed? Speed is nothing but a distance per time. Okay, distance per time, not a displacement. Okay, if you take a displacement, it will become as a velocity. Okay, so speed is a combination of distance and time. Distance and time are fundamental quantities. Okay, these are distance and time are fundamental quantities. So what we have done here? We have derived the speed from the fundamental quantities. Okay, length and time. These are the fundamental quantities. We have derived the speed from fundamental quantities. Then it is speed is a derived quantity. Then the momentum. Momentum is nothing but it is a product of mass and velocity. Okay, so mass and velocity. Velocity is nothing but displacement per time. Displacement means distance, length. Okay, then distance by time, mass and distance and time. So again the momentum is also a combination of the fundamental quantities. Then it is a derived quantities. Okay, then the third type is supplementary quantities. Supplementary quantities means there is a note on the supplementary quantities. Supplementary quantities are having the unit but not the dimensions. Okay. In the next lecture, we are going to study about the units and dimensions. So just keep it in mind, or write down in notes in the supplementary quantities. Supplementary quantities are having the units but not dimensions. Okay, this is the important point in case of supplementary quantities. So once again, we have to review this recap this one, units and measurements. So units and measurements, the chapter itself indicates that we are going to study the units and measurements. Measurement means what type of measurements and what are the measurement instruments. So we are going to study all these things in this chapter. So in that, the first concept is physical quantities. Okay, the physical quantities that can be measured are called physical quantities. Example: force, time, length, speed, etc. And types of the physical quantities are fundamental, derived, and supplementary. So fundamental quantities are nothing but the quantities, the physical quantities which are completely independent of each other, and the other physical quantities are expressed in terms of these quantities are nothing but fundamental quantities. Example for fundamental quantities. So better to say the example. There are 7 fundamental quantities that are mass, length, mass, time, electric current, temperature, amount of substance, luminous intensity. Okay, and then the second one is derived quantities. Derived quantities is nothing but physical quantities which can be expressed as combination of fundamental quantities are known as derived quantities. Is it clear? Then next one is speed. The example for derived quantities is speed, distance by time. Okay, distance by time is nothing but speed. So it is derived from the fundamental quantity. So we call it as a derived quantity. Okay, momentum is product of mass and velocity, and mass is a fundamental quantity. Displacement means length, that is also a fundamental quantity. Time, that is also a fundamental quantity. So here the last one is supplementary quantities. Supplementary quantities are plane angle and solid angle. Okay, plane angle and solid angle. So this is about the introduction and some of the concepts of the units and measurement. So here completed the first lecture. So before completing the first lecture, so I have some tips or some useful things to share with you. So let's share that one. To crack any exam or to score more, so I have some tips for you. I have some information or some guidance for you. So what is that? So you are going to prepare for the any exams. It may be a PUC exam, first year exam or second year exam, or it is my internal exam or the midterm exam, anything that may be. So the first and the very important, the concepts to prepare or the strategy. Strategy means the method of preparation for the exam. It is nothing but SQS. What is SQS? So this is my strategy. So if it is compatible with you, you can prepare or you can modify it and make it compatible to you and have a nice study. Okay. So S means syllabus. So the first and very important concept. So if you are going to prepare for the any exam, first keep the syllabus copy of that exam. Okay. This is a very important one. Then second one is we have to collect the question papers. We have to collect the question papers. This is very important. We have to collect the minimum 10 years of question papers. Okay. So minimum 10 years of question paper. So you have to keep this along with you. Syllabus is first one, question paper is second one. Okay. You have to keep first syllabus with you and second is question papers. And third one is you have to study. Before this, I will add something. So study is when you want to study, when you have lesson in the class. After watching the class or after sitting for the class, lesson in class. So after completing our online class or in the classroom class, you have to first see the syllabus, what is in the syllabus or the question paper, what are the questions came from this chapter or this unit, and you have to mark it as if the question paper, the question is repeated a very lot of times, so you have to keep that a very important one. You have to must and should make it perfect. Okay, you have to write by blinding your eyes. Okay, but you have to prepare in that level. Okay, the next one is SQS means syllabus, question paper and study. Okay, is it clear? So this is the very important concept to be remembered always for lifetime to prepare for any exam. Okay, and for the preparation due to the COVID, so we are facing some offline class problems, so we are going to make an online class. So if anyone preparing for the JEE or any competitive exam in the physics science field itself, you can now you have your own mobiles or your parents' mobile, so you can just search in the Google that JEE means, or there is some websites which can provide you a lot of materials. Just click as a JEE, that's it. Just Google it and you can find a lot of information and lots of materials, and you can collect it to them. And I am not saying to, I am not telling you that to prepare by that only. I am telling that just bring some information from that one. Just take the needed information or needed concepts from that materials and make it your own notes. Okay, make it your own notes and make the concept very clear. Or ask the answers. Okay, that will clear that will make you a better concept clearance, and that may help you to improve your score and your future also. Okay, let's stop the lecture. Bye. Thank you.